Welcome, you guys. I'm coming to you live from my closet. It's a better mirror, and so I'm able to address this in here. This is my inner sanctum. This is my closet, my mind's eye closet symbol that I've made. Um, Today is Address Your Anger Day, and I really wanted to come on here and let you guys know, I'm completely transparent, and I have no problem being naked in front of you or even showing you my closet. It's one of many closets, but this one happens to be a good mirror. Um, as I said, it's Address Your Anger Day, and I want to first congratulate you guys. Every day gets easier looking in the mirror. Every day gets easier, and the more you do this work, you will notice that some emotions are going to come up. Anger perhaps being one of the most common as we do our self-healing work. A lot of times, even as we're depressed, anger serves as the catalyst that helps us step out of where we've been going, the direction in which we've been going. So it's a genuine, honest emotion. However, what occurs, especially in this now day and age where we're taught to ignore 3D, I want to just address this briefly, is ignoring 3D does not mean bypassing it, you guys. No. Ignoring 3D means being detached from 3D so that it doesn't have power over you. However, addressing it, we must. Okay? Anger is perhaps one of those things that we bottle in and results in health issues such as cancer, depression, anxiety, and kidney issues, to name a few. Our kidneys absorb most of our anger, and a lot of times if we've suffered from kidney stones, if we've suffered from UTIs, if we suffer from any type of kidney illness, I'm going to use my brother as an example. He has FSGS, and that basically means that his kidney filters have scarred over. Your kidney filters are like a little pinpoint, like a pen mark in your kidneys, and his have literally scarred over. So kidneys are one of the biggest holders of our anger. And it's one of those things that we want to make sure that we address. Anger and negativity also affects our thyroid. Big time. People that tend to be angry and hold these things in end up holding all this negativity inside of themselves, and it ends up affecting their thyroid big time. The most notorious people are the ones that have beat on themselves so much that they now develop Hashis or other kidneys. Everything has an emotional issue attached to it. That's one of them. So that's why I want to address this. I have healed a lot. I think when I healed was the bottom line here is that I healed from a lot of what I was dealing with, mainly because I took responsibility and ownership of my past life incarnations as my parents. I took responsibility and ownership for the generational patterns that I inherited. And I realized that I was born specifically to break those fuckers down. You see, one day long ago, my mother asked my grandmother a question. My mother asked my grandmother, why were you so different with Cindy? Why did you love her so hard? Why was she your favorite? What the hell did I do for you not to love me? And why does she get all of your love and I got all of your reproach? My grandmother looked at her and thought about it for a second. And she said, because that's what was done in my life. Didn't even think twice about it. So there are generational patterns here, guys, that we're trying to break up. And many of us have to own this so that we don't get sick, so that we can stop seeing and encountering angry people, so that the wound that we once had can stop acting out in ways where we encounter people in our lives that reflect back this anger, so that we can end the patterns in our children. Today's exercise for me will be difficult because I've released a lot of the anger in owning that I was my parents, in owning what happened to me. So when my daughter started behaving the exact same way I did, I was not only pissed off, I was also able to recognize it and know that she is only acting as I am, as future versions of me now, and that I had to own it to be free on all counts. So today's exercise is going to be real simple. We're going to stand in front of this mirror, and many of you may be here for a while. If you have a lot of people that you're angry at, you may have a lot to address. Some of you may be really angry at yourself. So address that. I'm going to take you through this exercise for myself. I'm going to take you through this exercise. What you guys say may be different. But I'll begin. Mom, I am so angry at you. You copped out on life. You couldn't see me. You were so freaking depressed, it repelled the hell out of me, and I ran from you. I couldn't stand to be around you. I hated depressed people. I just couldn't stand it. It gave me the heebie-jeebies. I'm angry at you because you had no idea who I was. You couldn't see me. You just copped out on life. You would just stare at the TV. Never mind that I had straight A's, that I graduated top 10% of my class, that I had a gold tassel. No, instead, you would sit there and judge me and tell me you knew that I was going to be a fuck up. I didn't do drugs. Do you know that? I didn't do drugs, and my friends, they were smoking pot, and because I was such a goody two-shoes, they didn't tell me that they used to smoke pot because they were trying to protect my innocence. So the day that I came home and you found some white powder that was not drugs, couldn't even be close to this day, I still don't know what cocaine is, and you looked at me and accused me of doing cocaína, that was the last straw. That was the last straw. I never touched the stuff. I was such a good kid. I was just angry. I was angry for all of the things that you could feel, all of the things that you would say, all of the things that you didn't know I could hear because I can read minds. And of course I could read you as you were me, and I didn't know that at the time, so yeah, I could read you. I was angry at you for being mad at me, for looking at me and getting even more depressed because I reminded you so much of my father. Like if that was my fault? I was angry because you never, ever told me how proud you were of me. You never saw me. I was angry because you never got to know me. You had no idea who I was, what I was destined for, or even why I chose you. It hurt. It hurt bad. Because I deserved a lot more than that. However, I ran as far as I could. I didn't want to be anywhere near you. I couldn't stand you. I ran as far as I could until I became you. Yeah. What we must understand is that our now moment creates the past, present, and future at all times. And I had not reached this now moment in order to understand how I made you in my image. So I had to lose my son. I had to fall into the deepest, darkest depression I have ever felt. And I had to become you and do it to my own daughter. In order to develop some kind of compassion for you that I did not have, that I was incapable of feeling because I just simply didn't understand. I'm not afraid anymore because I understand how it works. But I could have been. I could have blamed you. That would make me a victim. I've never been anybody's victim. In this case, I'm my father's daughter. I will punch, swing, or do whatever it takes, but I'm never anybody's victim. Dad, fuck you. That's how I feel about you. I felt like that for a very long time. You see, you abandoned me. You didn't care if I lived or died. You weren't there at all. You wouldn't even tell my siblings that I existed. Until my brother started dating, and since you lived so close to me, that you thought, oh my God, if my son meets his sister and they start dating, this would be a disaster, so it's time to tell them that you exist. Wow. You fucker. Pretty sad, huh? You were the one that was so wounded that you said, if my mom wouldn't agree to your terms, then fuck me. Are you surprised that I've said this to you? Don't be. When I was stuck in the illusion, I was incapable of forgiving you. You have no idea how many angels and spirit guides would tell me over and over again, forgive your dad. I couldn't. I inherited your ability. You know, that ability to not feel shit? To not feel sorry? I inherited that. I ended up with stalkers. Lots of them. Just like you. I am my father's daughter, aren't I? Yeah. I couldn't get rid of people. Because I was incapable of loving them, thanks to you. And the harder that they loved me, the less I would appreciate them. Oh yeah, I recognize you in me. I completely understand why I chose you. You see, I'm here on a mission. I'm here to resolve the darkness in me that has spiraled out of control and has gone out into the world and created a whole mess of people who have identical situations to mine. I also understand that you are abandoned and you've been broken and your sexual inclinations are a result of that. I can own being you, even though I didn't allow that to repeat. I can own that. I certainly can, because that if I own it, it means I'm no longer your victim. I'm not afraid of you. I don't care if you see this. You know I deserve better. You even apologized in your own way, and I really, really appreciate it when you said, of all the children that you have, I was the one that should have talked the most shit, and I didn't. Yeah, you're right. I can release you as well. Tamara, my daughter. God damn it, am I mad at you. I'm so mad at you, I could charge a bull. I could destroy the whole world in 30 seconds flat. I'd press the button. I'm that mad at you. I worked really hard to clean up our generational patterns. We were a team. We did it together. We fixed things. How convenient of you to now play the wounded card when when you had no one else, I was the only one in your corner, and how quickly you forget. Tamara Elizabeth. You, little one. I'm going to correct something that should have been corrected in us a long time ago, and that is that my mom, even though she was checked out, put me first. She taught me all this great stuff about self-love, and it made sure that I was never a victim to a boyfriend, that I never had any issues with men, other than tossing them aside. But the one person that she did not put first ahead was me. In other words, I was her only exception to the rule. And I made you the exception to my rule. And that was a big mistake. A big, big mistake, Tammy. You know why? Because you think that you somehow are lashing out, when in reality, you're just me. Future me now, playing out my old wounds. That's why I'm going to let this anger go. And I'm not going to allow this generational pattern to continue. I release you, baby. You know why? Because it took me 38 years to forgive my mom. And I don't want that for you. No matter how far you run, no matter where you go, you cannot escape the fact that you and I are one being, the same being. I hear you when you go to the woods and you watch movies and I think you're afraid, so I go out of body and I appear immediately and I call you out. We are bonded. And you can run and you can hide, and it will not change the fact that you and I are one being. And one day you're going to look in the mirror and realize that. And I hope it is not at the expense of your future children. This anger, this, I'm letting it go for our sake. This is about healing. So I want to tell everyone watching this that this conversation was with myself because I am responsible for all the things that happened to me. You see, I'm never separated from my creation, which means that I was my parents and I am my daughter. It's the only reason I'm free. I don't treat 3D like it was something separate from me, because it's not. I'm also not beating myself up over it. I'm free, you guys. Did I have to come full circle? Did I have to get this understanding? Absolutely, I did. And some of you may take several tries to try and adjust and heal and deal with all the residual anger you have going on, but you've got to. I'm sorry I don't have anything to say to a partner. I have the very best one in the world. I chose him because he was the closest thing to the healed version of myself that I've ever known. But if you have a partner, go ahead and speak that too. Address your anger, let it out, punch some walls, go book a session with a boxing gym if you have to. Whatever you need to do, but unleash this and let it out. I want you all to imagine anger as a color, a bright red color. I want you to imagine rage as a bright red color with a lot of black in it, so it's like a darker red that looks kind of icky. I want you guys to take this anger and allow it to flow out of you and your heart. Touch your heart if you have to. Breathe into it and allow it to leave you. Do it every day if you need to. But don't allow this anger to consume you. Release yourself from this. Otherwise, life gets harder and harder and harder, and you're in a war with yourself, and it is not worth it. People will mirror back anger at you. You'll be so mad at the reflection of other people. And you have to remember that there are no other people. They are your reflection. Therefore, they're doing you the extreme favor of showing you what's going on inside. So take ownership of it and let it go. Today's journaling exercise has been added to the mirror work at the top. Don't forget to do that as well. And really think about what you guys need to be happy. Really try to do this exercise and let this anger go. You guys may have to repeat day 11 several times, and that is okay. But I will tell you this. The reason I'm not angry anymore is because I know that in this mirror, I've said all that I needed to say to myself from every angle. And I've addressed the root, and I've addressed generational patterns, and I've addressed my grandma, I've addressed my mom, I've addressed my daughter, I've addressed my father, I've addressed the root generational programs that created these things in me. These people that don't look like they're me are me. And I know that the reason that I did that, and the reason that I chose them as parents, and the reason that I got sucked into that soul coma sleep, and the reason I got into that situation was so that I can fix the biggest problem in the world. Dysfunctional parents. Unconscious parents. And by fixing it in me, and by removing the darkness in me, and by addressing it, and by accepting it, and loving it, and really, really dealing with my emotions instead of bypassing them, I am literally making my life easier for myself and for the world outside of me. That's why this day is so important. And as you can see, I'm pretty raw about it because I spoke the truth. as I once knew it. Before I took ownership and realized that the only person I was truly mad at was myself. Before I realized that my now moment made all those other moments. And because I hadn't stepped into this now moment, I had not yet crossed that barrier, so I had no idea how my parents were formed. I am clear on how my daughter was formed. And I also know that in releasing this and healing myself, I am healing everybody within me and letting it go and making my life easier. The work that I have done, you guys, has literally placed me in a totally different place. I have a family that loves me. I have a beautiful, beautiful man that loves me. And even though my daughter is acting out our pattern, I love her and she loves me. She can deny it all she wants right now. I tried to deny it from my mom too. But know that this work is important. We got to get in touch with our hearts, and we've got to really address these things. Many of you want to heal some illnesses that you have. Begin by addressing the anger, voicing it if you have to, and letting it out. We're not, how do I even say this? We're here for a good reason, you guys. We chose these things. I know you don't think we did, but we did. We're here on a way bigger mission than what's going on in 3D. We're teaching people how to remove these things from 3D in order to face themselves. From a much higher level perspective, we can do that. As a collective and together, the force that we are generating out into the world is changing everything. So allow yourself to do that, guys. I love you and I thank you for today's exercise and for listening to me as well. Many of you may have similar patterns. It's okay. Address them. And at the end of the day, I want you to conclude with realizing that everyone is innocent. They are playing the roles that we have fallen asleep at the wheel at. We are still the source, and we still must address these things. This is not beat yourself up time. This is not feel guilty time. This is saying what you felt to let it out, taking responsibility for how we made these moments, and knowing that when we work on ourselves, we change the world around us. Let that anger out. Is it crimson? Is it angry red? Is it thrown in there with a lot of black energy? You know, that dark, like really mad, narcissistic person inside of you, incapable of loving anyone, that you have no idea how it's possibly you, but it actually can be when you're unhealed and when you're angry and when you don't know love. Let those shadows and those ghosts out. You deserve to be healed. You deserve to be free. And you deserve to see a world that does not include this wound. Let it out, you guys. Be honest. I was. See you tomorrow.